Welcome to the world of CDR Beer Lab, the fast and easy-to-use analysis system designed for breweries of all sizes. With CDR Beer Lab, you can monitor in real time the quality of your beer, from the grain to the finished product, analyzing parameters like bitterness, color, alcohol content, and much more, all directly in your brewery. No more waiting for lab results. As the Brewfeast Brewery claims, with CDR Beer Lab, the immediate benefit was undoubtedly the speed of execution in the various analyses that we undertake here in-house in the internal laboratory. Simple, accurate and fast. With CDR Beer Lab, controlling every stage of production is within everyone's reach. Let's discover how to enhance your beer with a professional tool and immediate results.
Good afternoon, and welcome to 60-Second Solutions, Shortcuts to Sales. Hey, first off, I want to thank Andrew from Craft Beer Professional and CDR Beer Lab. If anybody else saw that commercial, his voice was incredible, right? Thanks for making this all possible. Hey, however you look at it, this past summer was challenging for craft beer. Estimates show the category down about 6.1% over last year, same period. And that amounts to about 2.5 million in barrels lost. So that's making everybody nervous. And you can understand why. Craft breweries are struggling to find new drinkers. Young consumers aren't really interested, is what we're hearing. RTDs, whiskeys are hot. Waters are exploding. CBD THC is still taking off. They're trying to find their place. And alcohol is somewhat being demonized. And this paints a grim picture of really what the craft beer landscape looks like. But here at Market Your Craft, we're seeing pockets of hope, even growth in craft beverage, so much so that we're really optimistic. And we wanted to share as many tips and tricks as we could for winning in today's landscape. So our goal for the presentation today is to give you proven marketing and sales solutions that only take minutes to execute to really help address what's happening today. And if you've listened in on one of our presentations before, you know that they're chock full of information, so much so that we need to really move quickly through this one. We want to make sure that you have all the information you need. So if you need to, just email me for the deck, and I'm happy to send you a PDF. So now let's get started with a little bit about Market Your Craft. The team really provides that fractional marketing leadership and crucial project management for the beverage industry. Our sweet spot right in the middle is storytelling, planning, and automation. And we cover almost 20 years in beer, wine, spirits, and now non-alcoholic. A little bit more about me. I was even an assistant brewer for BJ's Restaurants. And of course, I'm a home brewer. I live in Denver, and I'm a part owner in an Iowa brewery. Market Your Craft has done a lot of work with a lot of amazing brands, both in beer, wine, and spirits. We want to share all of that collective experience with you today, and we're going to blow through a lot of suggestions. You're going to see a little bit of icons being used in order to really help you determine how much time the solution that we're proposing is going to take. It could be less than 10 minutes, maybe even an hour, less than a day, or maybe even a little more involved. That's going to help you and your team gauge how much time to really commit to the solution. So let's get started. We're going to talk about brand websites first. Hey, connect Google to your brand website. The point is that you see where people are entering the site and exiting the site, and then you can build content around that. If they're exiting on pages you feel are very valuable, well, why? Let's create a little more engaging, some hooking content to keep them on the site for longer. It's really easy to do this if you haven't already. Just log into your Google account, your Gmail account, and connect your site by way of tracking embed code. You might have a developer who could help with that, Or there's a really easy plugin that is used for Shopify or for WordPress. And then you start to see stats like this that help you make sense of how and when people are using your site and how to make it more valuable to them. This is silly, but how many of us routinely update our hours of operation, the map, and the phone for our breweries or tasting rooms? And it's really important because people are doing brewery near me searches. And if they see outdated information, they might blow you by when you're actually open. So you've got drinkers who are making plans to visit breweries, not necessarily visiting breweries real time in the moment. You need to give them all the information they need to do so. It turns out that there are more than 40 locations displaying your address. We're going to focus in on your website, Google Business, Facebook, and your socials. The full list is a long one. You might say, I had no idea. I had no idea that actually my hours of operation made it so far away from home. But if you have a major update, like a new day or day part where you're open for business, make sure to reflect that on the majors and the minors here. Please, please, please use lifestyle imagery. This is really important. People want to see themselves enjoying a beer at your brewery in your tasting room. This means displaying photos with permission on your homepage, either in a gallery or a carousel fashion. You may even want to pull some of your social media feed to your homepage, and we're going to talk about that in a bit. Adding your beer list to your homepage is extremely important. Show them what's on tap. Show them the current list of what they can expect. Once they see that, they'll know what to expect once they get to the brewery, especially if it's a new or a seasonal release or something they haven't had before. There are a lot of ways to do this. We don't want to create extra work. So why don't you use the existing digital board that you have? If it's something like Untapped or Live Tap Lists, then you have the opportunity to pull that list one for one over to your website. And then it's displaying in real time, updated, and your team doesn't have to go in every single day and update 2 or 3 different spots. Our friends at 6 and 40 Brewery here in Lakewood, Colorado, do something very similar on their homepage. They go one step further to show the international nature of their styles. Connecting email services. Now, you may not actively have a newsletter or send out notes yet about your events or your new beer releases, but you certainly could. People want to share that information with you when they know they're going to get something valuable in return. So start collecting drinker emails, even by way of your homepage, with a form that asks them for their name, their email address, and then maybe a comment or two about the brewery or the tasting room. Then use that information for a marquee event that you're planning that might have ticket sales or a new beer release that you really want to make sure sells out quickly. Best way to do this is to use a proven service like MailChimp or Klaviyo. They have free accounts. You can dip your toe in it to make sure that this works for you. And then if you build your list past their thresholds, that's not a bad thing. Let's make sure that you've got a plan for using the email addresses on a regular basis, at least once a month, by way of a newsletter or some sort of event communication. Again, if you've sat in on one of our presentations, you know how important the brand story is to us. It's the fundamental, it's basically the components of being able to market your brand effectively. And if you're not doing it, if you don't have that one-liner, that kind of 6-second elevator pitch, we certainly encourage you to do so. But if you do, don't hide it. Go ahead and put it up on the homepage. Make sure that somebody who visits your page, especially by mobile phone, Make sure that they know within one scroll of the top exactly what you stand for. This is going to make it easier for them to make that real-time decision of brewery near me, presented with 10 in the area. Oh, this one looks interesting. Look what they offer. And you know that it follows a formula like this. Brewery name does something for a visitor or a drinker, what that visitor can expect from a visit to the brewery, and give me a little bit more detail about who that customer is. We like an example of Discover Ale Works brews a selection of rotating beer styles for guests to enjoy with live music and Denver's most sought-after food trucks. See yourself in that kind of a statement, and then go ahead and post it up on your homepage. Leveraging meta tags, this is kind of in the weeds, but everybody needs to know what this means. A search engine isn't going to index your website if you're not properly using meta tags to your advantage. Basically, it's the keywords you want to own, the phrases, beer styles, things like this that you want to have associated with your brewery. And in doing so, the stronger the association, the stronger and the better ranking you're going to get within Google and Bing. So if you want to show up in the first 30 results of a brewery near me mobile search, best way to do that is to make sure that you get into the back end of your site and use a plugin like Yoast to help you structure those meta tags, and you'll immediately see an improvement in your search engine rankings. Now we're at the end of this section. I wanted to really focus a little bit of attention on some things that are equally valuable, but a little more involved. Checking your Google Search Console will help you to know exactly how you rank and where you rank in search results. And it helps you think a little more strategically about the pages, the landing pages that you have on your site, the pages that are of value to the customers, the exit and entry pages, everything in between. You don't need to have a ton of pages in terms of volume. You need to have really good, valuable content. And Google will help you determine just how well you're doing in that regard. Landing pages could be an interesting play for you. Have you ever gone to a real estate website and there was a personalized landing page for that suburb? Down to the local level, that real estate agent is showing you that they are an expert in real estate in that particular city or suburb. Well, why couldn't you do the same thing for your brewery? What if you were to create a landing page that helps either drinkers who live there locally or people who are visiting out of town see that you're an actual expert and you're fun and you offer an entertaining environment and an incredible beer selection? Show them that for the suburb that might be 1 or 2 over from where your brewery is located. This helps to attract that new audience and see you as a local option. You could also consider a chatbot. This is Facebook Messenger or even an AI like Sendbird to create that two-way dialogue in real time with drinkers who have a question about your brewery. Profile your team members. Really celebrate their story. These are the people behind your brand. They're the people who interact with the drinkers every single day. Let's bring them to the forefront and tell their story as a part of the bigger brand story. And then share a facility or a tour video, just like those lifestyle photos on the very homepage. If you're able to show people what it's like to do a walkthrough behind the scenes in the brewery, the brew deck, all the fermenters, the cold room, there's some fun there. It helps them to see themselves really enjoying a drink at your counter, bringing their friends. Second one we're going to talk about is public relations. And trust me, I know we are breezing through this, but there's a lot. Thanks for staying with me. We want you to set up a Google alert. If you haven't already, just go to google.com/alerts and enter your brewery name as a keyword. What happens then is every single day, Google will let you know if there's a new hit on that keyword or your brewery name or your brewery style. This lets you know how people and when people are talking about you out in the real world. It gives you some insights as to the stories they're talking about. From a public relations perspective, one of the most valuable tools you can use is a press release. And in order to have a press release land successfully with journalists, you have to have that media list. So if you have journalists or writers who are friendly to your brand, start write their names down, the publications for which they work, their titles, any stories that they've written about in the past. And then you can leverage that when you have your news on a quarterly or a monthly basis, new beer releases, a new expansion of your facility, a new opening for a tasting room. These are the stories that matter to these journalists and writers. You can't talk to them if you don't know them. And with that, a press release takes a little bit more time, but we've got a template that you can use that's proven to land well with journalists. It's a format that's well accepted, it's industry recognized, best practice. What you can do is you can basically use this to create your own boilerplate, your own template, and then on a quarterly basis, try and figure out a story that you want to share with these folks. Again, your curated media list. It could be something as easy as we've got a new event series coming out this summer and we'd love for you to join. A lot of words, very small type. But again, you'll have access to this in the PDF that I send you if you ask. All you have to do is a couple paragraphs worth of copy in a very clear format. This allows you to send it out directly to the media-friendly journalists. They receive the information in a way that makes it easy for them to say yes. We talked about the annual beer calendar. Some people do this incredibly well, as you'll see on the next slide, and they really make it a routine to, in the fall of the year, talk about the beers and the core and seasonal and new introductions for the next year. In this case, it really gives writers, one, something to look forward to, and two, the brand something to follow up with when the launch actually happens. So let's take a look. Our friends at Sierra Nevada do this really well. They have the brands and category of brands on the left-hand margin, and then the months across the top horizontally. What this does is it visually paints a picture of just how many releases they're going to have across the time span of a year. And a journalist may be writing about something seasonal or have a thematic about a very unique style. And if Sierra Nevada has a product that fits within that, Sierra Nevada probably is proactively going to go after that writer and let them know, but they also have the pull of a journalist who already has access to this calendar and has put a teaser or reminder in their calendar for June of next year to reach out to Sierra Nevada. You may have heard the term backlinks. Now, backlinks in public relation terms, just a way to provide credit where credit is due. If there is a journalist who writes a story about you, you should put that story up on your website and then link back to the original writer and the original publication. This sort of reciprocal linking drives a lot of traffic back and forth between notable publications and your brand website, which only increases your audience and exposes their audience to new people as well. What you could do is just create very basic blog posts for your website and couch it in somewhat of a press section. And that's, of course, going to get additional pickup from search engines in addition to being linked to from the original publication. We have some good friends at Common House in South Carolina, and they recently put up a backlinking page, which they've gotten a lot of press and they deserve to get the attention for that. We're also making sure that the originating publication gets some credit as well. little more involved from the public relations side is submitting your name to speak at a conference, very, very much like craft beer professionals. Think about local guilds and associations. They've got strong membership. They're your peers. They have great conferences, and they want panel discussions and presentations from people just like you who know what's happening in the industry and who can best articulate it to help the community at large get past some challenging times. So even if you're not the most polished or buttery presenter, don't even think about it. Know how valuable what you have to say is to your community. Also have a crisis communication plan. This is intense. There's no two ways to look at it, but having an idea of what you will do and who will manage it if things go sideways at your brewery is incredibly important. COVID proved this to us at large. We have breweries, wineries, distilleries who have had recalls of products, packaging issues. You have disgruntled employees, many of whom are bringing to light issues that might be endemic to the operations of the brewery. And these are really, really sensitive topics, and they need to be handled with kid gloves to a certain extent. A crisis communication plan identifies the people and the chain of command in order to deal with situations like this. Just take some time. It doesn't have to be, a 20-page document. It could be an outline. It could be a bit of a skeleton on here's what to do when this happens. Here's who takes this responsibility. Here's who reports it up to the owners and managers, and how the information is disseminated to the team. Take a little bit of time with that. Have that in your back pocket if something like that hopefully doesn't, but if it ever happens. Our third section is events and activations. We've got calendars that are hidden from our guests. Why? We've got these events that we're spending so much time and energy and effort and money to put together to try and draw attention to your brewery. So let's celebrate those. Let's make sure everybody knows about it. I'm a big fan of even publishing it to your homepage, but please put a calendar up on your website. There's no excuse not to. There are embed codes from Google Calendar, if Google Calendar is your preferred calendar. There's also plugins like the events calendar for WordPress, which is really, really phenomenal. And you'll see examples like this. This is Market Your Craft, and basically the calendar that the team curates of beer, wine, spirits, and other beverage-related events. This displays beautifully. You can subscribe to it. You can add it as a feed. You can sign up using tickets. You can buy tickets. All of that functionality is there. And if you're not actively using something like this on your website and you have a significant event calendar, we'd encourage you to look at something like this. Send an email and post to your socials. It may seem common sense, but a lot of these are things that just aren't being done that could incrementally help you build sales. Notifying drinkers of your events. Don't just rely on them going to the website. Find a way to maybe email the list that you were curating before. You've got the sign up form on your website and you make the promise of letting them know when events are going to happen. Well, this is it. Shoot them a quick note. Let them know the details of the upcoming event, what it's going to cost, who's going to be there, what beers are going to be featured. Get them excited about it. Have some sort of an RSVP, even if it's free, just to get a head count and some predictability there. you had that first sign up with MailChimp or Klaviyo. Now you're putting it to use. Same thing's true on the socials. Make sure that if you're using Facebook events calendar, or if you just have a series of organic or boosted posts leading up to the event, that's great. These are the kind of visuals and details that are going to help grab that attention and oversell your events, because that's exactly what we want. We want more people there than we have room for. And it's okay to be a little repetitive. A good friend and a colleague says, it's in the numbers. It's a numbers game. Well, I would agree with Mike on this one. And in this case, go ahead. Go ahead and send it out a bunch of times. If you haven't gotten the response you're looking for, hey, it's okay to send a slightly tweaked message to that very same group, just letting them know seats are still available. Want to make sure you saw this. Want to make this at the top of your inbox. There's a little bit of repetition. You might lose some people. They might unsubscribe. But again, the point is to provide your drinkers and your newsletter subscribers or social media following with the information they ask for, the valuable information about your brand. Have you played around with your POS screens and the receipts? We've got a little bit of experience with this. We've done it for Toast and Arrived and Square, and it's pretty easy. It's just not very intuitive. And when you think about it, you've got that captured audience when they're paying. So why not message them about your upcoming events? It's a great time. Or on that receipt, maybe a one-liner or a two-liner just saying, hey, wanted you to know we've got our big festival coming up this weekend, or want the up-to-date list of events at the brewery? Here's the address. So take the time to look at your brewery or your tasting room's POS system and play in the gray area of where you can customize the messaging, especially at checkout. Customer anniversaries. We like the idea always of celebrating your own brewery's anniversary. No doubt, you should celebrate your team and you deserve it. There's also, a micro anniversary here, and that is the anniversary of when your customer, when your drinker first was introduced to you, whether that's their first transaction, the first sale, first event. You could actually use this to your advantage. Why don't you go ahead and make available a promotion, whether that's a buy one, get one, or some type of a discount or a merchandise package. Why don't you make this available to help celebrate your customer's anniversary with the brand? This makes them feel special, gives you another opportunity to message. It can be easily set up in your point of sale system. Now, to finish this one off, we've got a couple that are a little more involved, as you can imagine. If you were to brainstorm with your team at large, just sit them down before or after a team meeting and ask what they think about the events that are happening, what events they would recommend themselves, what they've seen competitors or friends in the business doing. These are all really important ways to generate some new life and some new energy around the idea of eventing at your brewery or tasting room. And when you've got the team contributing, they've got a little bit of extra investment in that. Consider live streaming your event. We've done this before with greater or lesser degree of success. It's challenging. You really, really, really need a strong internet connection. And if you're at a brewery, everybody's trying to plug into the internet. And so there's that. You need to have good equipment, the audio. There are a lot of factors here, but we like the idea, if it's feasible, for you to really extend the on-site in-person event to a virtual space. maybe play around with this a little bit. Give it a try with a low risk, medium reward type event, bingo or some sort of trivia night. Collaboration is king, and we know that it takes a lot of time to collaborate, but find a collaboration partner inside or outside of the industry. This is going to only have the halo effect of exposing your brand to another relevant audience, and the same in reverse. We like beer collaborations, event collaborations. We like outdoor outfitters and different experiential services and businesses. Think outside of just the beer space and try and come up with something that's really relevant to even other groups. You can balance those smaller and marquee events. Not everything is going to be a blowout 100,000, 500 group of people. Find a way to have a number of smaller events that people can count on a regular basis. The repetition is okay. And then buy yourself the opportunity for a bigger marquee event that you can really spend the time, money, and energy against. And then this came up during COVID, and we're still seeing it today, especially in wine and higher end beers, higher ABV, specialty beers, but doing a virtual tasting where you actually sell not only the beer, but you're selling an hour with the brewer who can walk you through a tasting, a sampling of that beer, even a beer food pairing, tell you a little bit about the brewery and the origins of that particular beer, that style. This can command a much higher price point, and it's great for gifting and for people who are really aficionados and enthusiasts and even homebrewers. Everybody's extremely interested in social media. Social media continues to be the focus of marketing for breweries, especially because it's relatively inexpensive. Anybody can do it, so to speak. We've got a number of suggestions here, but we of course encourage everybody to take a look at all of the different marketing vehicles we're talking about today and finding the right balance of using each to great effect. Switching your Instagram profile to business. Some people, started the brewery Instagram account with their personal email address, and it's forever been a personal account. Well, did you know that you can actually switch it to business? Or maybe you've been nervous to do so. Maybe you might lose your followers or come across wrong, come across too corporate. We would encourage you to actually switch your profile to business for a number of reasons. It gives you much, much more analytical back end. You can do reports and really see what's trending and how different content is pulling or landing with your audience. You can run more targeted ads. You can have contact information directly in the profile and really pull apart insights into the people who are engaging with your content. It's easy to do. Meta makes it very straightforward. Go ahead and talk to your team or whoever's managing your social media and ask them, hey, do you see any reason not to actually upgrade our personal account to business? This is a view of the back end that could be possible. We love Sprout Social as a tool. It's a listening, publishing, reporting tool, and many of our clients use this. With a business account for Facebook, for Instagram, and other social media, you can tap into these types of analytics where you see the pulsing and the spikes and the dips of your engagement. You can see what hashtags are trending and really pulling favorably. You have a lot more visibility into the back end of your posts. When you know that, it makes us better posters. We're going to create content that's more relevant. We're going to be more surgical about what we post rather than just shotgun. So please do take a look at moving your Instagram profile to business, and you'll see immediate results. We like adding the social feed right to the website. The very homepage is a perfect place for it. It offers up a lot of additional fresh new content in a way that a static homepage doesn't. Your homepage is generally not going to be changing a lot. The elements of your homepage that may could be the events calendar, the real-time beer list, and the social feed. So this is automatic for us. We always are going to add a social feed to the homepage just because we want to make sure that the freshest content is getting in front of as many audiences, as many drinkers as possible. We like a plugin called Smash Balloon, and for WordPress, it's the best. It offers up Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and other social feeds and pages. It displays them beautifully. We can display them in context of other pages, like this is the calendar at Market Your Craft. Hashtags. This takes a little bit of research, but it's still very easy. If you're not using hashtags, you're limiting the reach of your content to a smaller audience. Whereas if you add a relevant hashtag, whether that's a beer style, it's a region, a geography, it's a particular movement that's going on, if it's relevant to your brand and relevant to that post, go ahead and add it, because people are not only searching for you and not only searching for keywords that might be found in your post, but they're searching by hashtag for those things that are really relevant to them. And using a tool like Meta from Facebook, or even Sprout Social, like we discussed before, that can help you research which hashtags are really trending with your audience and with a broader audience. Again, a lot of these aren't taking a lot of time. These first 5 or 6 from social media are easy to do. It's just a matter of doing them. What if your engagement is kind of trailing off? Why? I feel like we're posting just as frequently. I like the content, and we all stand behind it. Well, it's great. Maybe the timing of your posting is off. So have you ever switched up your schedule? You can do this instinctively. You think, well, a lot of our brewery patrons are probably checking after work during the weekday because they're seeing what events or what new beers we have on tap for their visit after work. Yeah, that could be fair. But maybe they're actually searching at lunch. Maybe when they're having their coffee in the morning. Use a tool like Sprout Social or Meta or any number of different listening tools to help you see just when your followers are engaging with the content. And you might be very surprised to know that it's a different schedule entirely than you thought. So go ahead and vary that schedule up a little bit and see what kind of results you get. And on that, have you ever collaborated with anybody? Sure, you've put together a beer with somebody, but from a social perspective, are you actively inviting fans, influencers, other breweries, partners, people in the industry? Are you actively inviting them to collaborate on a post? All that means to us is I'm putting together a thoughtful post. It talks about the local community and a great partner that we have. Right before I post that in Meta, I'm able to invite collaboration from that partner. And then it looks like it's coming from that partner as well as it's coming from us. So it's different from a share or a repost. It's originating essentially between the two businesses, between the the brewery and the influencer, whoever you choose to collaborate with. This again exposes your brand to a much larger audience, and it gives them a vote of confidence. Your brand is being talked about by somebody that I follow. That immediately is more credible and authoritative than somebody who I'm not familiar with and I have to find from scratch. Sharing video continues to be extremely important. The content that is trending and the content that is most consumed, you see these stats, 81% want to see more video. It's much more engaging than a static post. And that's why we're seeing not only in Instagram, but the rise and somewhat plateau of TikTok and other video sharing channels. Find a way, even if it's raw, it doesn't have to be extremely polished, find a way to share video behind the scenes, something having to do with your brewery, an event, pouring a brand new beer. The video content is going to get picked up and engaged with much, much more often. Try and be consistent. Give it a chance to look and feel like the brand. Don't make it so far left of center, and just track how it performs over time. Maybe build that into your content calendar, which we're going to talk about. Scheduling your monthly posts does a number of different things. It helps your team members know what's ahead, know what we're going to be talking about. It knows, again, the beer schedule that we're going to be releasing in the next month, the events that are happening. All of those things are basically on a calendar, but a content calendar is the editorial behind that. It's when we're going to send out our emails, when we're going to do our posts, when we're going to put together our wild postings or our posters or our handbills. So having that kind of a back off calendar makes people more accountable. Make sure that you know that you need to have a little bit of lead time for some of these things. And if I know that there's a big post on Wednesday for an event coming up this Friday, I'm not going to be posting anything else because I want that focus, the attention to squarely be on the event and making sure that we sell out. We like starting with a paper calendar, a pen and paper, and just working backwards. And then eventually you're going to want to get that up into a digital format that you can share with the rest of the team and update very easily. And there are tools. Imagine that. Sprout Social does it. Our favorite, Sprout Social, gives you the opportunity to really calendar the content months in advance if you'd like, but to see everything laid out in a month's view really gives you a different perspective on where you might have gaps that you need to fill with really engaging content to keep everybody's attention. You may want to create off-season themes that really take a look at a dry month, so to speak, an August, for example, when people are going back to school. Maybe there's a thematic in your social postings that really revolve around that theme. That's something that you can calendar as well. And then a little more involved, just get to know TikTok, take a position on whether or not you want your brewery to be represented, and then clearly understand the audience demographics to make sure that we stay above the minimum for advertising on a social platform. Listen to what the competitors are doing, especially from a social perspective. They might be onto something that you haven't heard of yet. Enabling social commerce, being able to buy merchandise from Instagram posts or Facebook could be a new revenue stream for you, tied in with Shopify or even WordPress. And then make a budget. If you have a little bit of extra money to spend on a monthly basis, plan for boosting or advertising if you have that opportunity. Sampling and demos. We're going to quickly go through these because it's tough. Maybe do a 4-ounce pour when somebody buys a full pint of one of your newest beers, just to help them decide on what they might like next. BOGOs, a buy one, get one, is an opportunity to have local businesses or even local residents bring a friend, stop by, and it reduces the risk because I buy one, and if I didn't like it, I can get another one for free, or I'm coming with a date and not spending as much on that date. So take a look at that as an option, either dropping off handbills locally, kind of door to door in that way, or making that discount or offer available on the social or digital media. On that note, why don't you ask the general manager for the local apartment complex whether or not you can sponsor their community event? All you have to do is drop off a couple kegs, maybe serve as the pourer, check the IDs. These things happen quite a bit, and we've seen success with little local breweries who just make that offer to donate the kegs, and then you've got traffic that's generated from residents of that apartment community that didn't even know you existed. You know this, but support local business, please. Make it easy for them to want to do business with you, friends and partners in the area. If you've got that solid alignment on your mission, your goals, what you stand for, what the community means to you, then go ahead and nod to them, either making their posters or making their offers available in your tasting room on the cork board, or giving them a shout out in your monthly newsletter, even doing a collaboration post on social. Again, the opportunity is there for you to expose yourself to their audience, a broader audience, and theirs to your brand. Asking to sample at retail is big time. You may have a relationship locally with your favorite grocery store, local liquor store, chain, or otherwise. We've found great success with sampling if we've got presence at retail. If we're selling the cans at a local grocery store, we've had great inroads with the buyers for those stores locally, offering up a sampling opportunity as well, working with their corporate if needed, if it's a bigger chain, to really enable and celebrate the local brands in 2 or 3 hour increments. Whatever chance you can, try and get that cup in somebody's hands and really give them the opportunity to have that first exposure to your brewery. And with that, festivals are still a thing. Many of you are probably recovering from Great American Beer Festival this past weekend. Certainly, I hope you had great success and maybe even brought home a gold from there. These are still generally pretty pricey events, and we even understand that marquee events like Great American Beer Festival had to switch up their format in order to engage a new generation of drinkers and to switch things up. Take a look at bigger, either local, regional, statewide, or nationwide events that are happening. And if you have the budget and the person power to really pull it off, take a look at getting signed up for that. See what the footprint is, what the investment is, and whether or not that would expose you to potentially even a new geography that you're just opening up. Just like we did with one of our clients, Partake Brewing, we've got James, Josh, and the founder, Ted, in front of the GABF booth, exposing a non-alcoholic beer in a revolutionary way to a 99.9% alcoholic event and venue. This was a surprise and delight for drinkers who like to pace themselves or want non-alcoholic options. And lastly, we want to talk about integrated sales channels. And this is just making sure that you're leveraging every bit of opportunity to pull the trigger on a sale. Please make it easy for friends of your brand to refer a friend, whether that's an online mechanism or sharing posts, encouraging sharing, those BOGOs that we had talked about, giveaways like swaggy kind of items that might be right there at the tasting room counter. anything to distribute the love of your brand outside of the tasting room itself. ADA compliance continues to be a thing. As all of you know, over the last couple of years, there have been a rash of lawsuits for breweries, wineries, distilleries, and other tasting rooms to not only clean up their ADA from a physical perspective, but also their website and digital efforts. So please take the time today, if not already, to look at a service like userway.org, which helps you set up your website for full compliance. And they do so in a very slick way. And it's one that, quite frankly, will help protect you from the unforeseen if that's still ahead. Market your private event space. You've got some extra room. You might even have days, times that are traditionally slow. Well, if you were to package up for your drinkers, local businesses and such, a deal for a 3 or a 4 hour, either a fixed rate, an hourly rate, per beer rate, to get more people to see your brewery as a space for meetings, as a space for parties, for private events and such. Just, you need to start. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a four-walled with a door kind of area. It can just be kind of tucked away, but make that offer available to people. They will take you up on it. This is a new revenue generator. Apple Business Profile, Google. If you do a search in Google and something comes up for your brewery, it's most likely a listing. But if you ever look to the right-hand margin, there could be a business profile there with hours of operation, a map, FAQs, different products that are available, your beer list. Take advantage of your business profiles in both Google and Apple. It only takes a couple minutes to do, but a lot of times it's one of those low-hanging fruits that breweries just don't get after because they don't want to make the time. Encouraging social reviews. We've told you before what we think about Yelp, but it's somewhat of a necessary evil. We also believe that the current management at Yelp is cleaning up operations to make it a more credible and authoritative and less pay-per organization. Enabling and encouraging social review on Facebook, on Instagram, on any of the review sites. Go ahead and do that either at checkout, it could be verbally, could be on the receipt, could be signage. All of that helps to create more footprints for your brewery across the internet, especially in a relevant search of brewery near me. Free local delivery has been something that a lot of breweries have talked about. Very few have been able to pull off because of the time and the effort, but maybe take a look at it again, especially if you've enabled online purchase through your point of sale system and exposed it on your website. If this is something that you could do on a Monday every week, this could be a new revenue source for you. Adding a store locator if you're available at retail is very important. And a service like VIP makes that very easy to embed on your website. Or if you're at fewer than 50 locations, you can actually enter those yourself. It might show up something like this. Very beautiful. Please, please, please offer a non-alcoholic beverage. You want to appeal to the largest audience possible. And if somebody's not drinking, but they want to socialize with their friends that are, they're more likely to stay longer and buy more with respect to food or merch or other non-alc items if you offer something more than soda. Take a look at Hop Waters or take a look at best practices in the non-alcoholic beer space. Please support a charity. If you've aligned with somebody in the community, go ahead and promote them. Give them an opportunity to shine in your marketing and your other on-site efforts. If you have some sort of give back in terms of a percentage of sales for a time period, also a great idea. And then to finish off, Take a look at a collective. Maybe take a look at partnering with local businesses and artists. We love artist galleries in a brewery. Offer food, and I know it's tough, but at least some warming tray option for pizza or otherwise. Evaluate QR codes. We got behind this in a pretty big way earlier this year, late last year, as a really means of standing out and offering up much more information and engagement than the package itself could generate. So if you're interested, figure out a QR code and maybe test it on one of your seasonals. Offer your merchandise online. Great for gifting and for super fans. And then where you can, personalize the messaging, whether that's email, creating landing pages that are customized by a suburb or interest in a particular beer style or vertical. These are bonus points for you. We like strategy pieces that could help you get to where you need to be in terms of sales and brand awareness. Watch your reviews. Bring in a sense of urgency in your call to actions, whether that's social posts, events, emails. Write that brand story and start with why. Why should a drinker care? Replace your current customers with 3 new ones. I don't want to say that they're dying off, but they're not going to be there forever. So take a look at what you need to do to find 3 new people to replace everybody who's got a butt in a seat right now. Try and be disruptive. How can you introduce your brand in non-traditional places and pull the plug on partnerships that aren't producing? Work on your curb appeal. Make sure that people have a place to take some really good Instagram photos that they can share out. Remove the clutter and clubhouse items. Offer a birthday or an anniversary promotion, and try your hand at cocktail options. We really get behind artificial intelligence. We're more of the opinion that you can use it to your benefit to streamline marketing efforts than to brew your next beer or create any additional content generatively, like images of your brewery. It just doesn't work like that. So get a feel for it, understand it, give it a try. Key takeaways from today: there's room for improvement, and all it takes is a little bit of time each day. Don't focus on getting 100% of these right, but start somewhere. Start with some low-hanging fruit. Minutes a day make a difference. It doesn't have to be a full-out marketing effort or an annual plan with a lot of budget, but some of these things could generate a significant amount of attention and engagement with your brand in a short amount of time. And then there's no reason to delay starting. I want to thank you for the opportunity to present today at Craft Beer Professionals. And we're all about guides and sharing best practices. So if you're into it, jump over to our website, use this code, and grab yourself a free guide. There are over 15 that help you dive deep into topics like this, and we're happy to share. So, best wishes during these challenging times. If Market Your Craft can be of any service to you, whether it's helping you to knock some of these tactical minutes a day executables off your list, or something bigger, sales strategy and marketing strategy, how to have distributor relationships, how to really be productive on the trade side of things, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to schedule a complimentary conversation with you and your team to see what we can do to help.